Hello, my name is Pastor Kris Kollar. I'm the pastor of Pleasant Valley Lutheran Church near Malabar Farm and St. Paul Lutheran Church in Lucas, Ohio. Greetings. We are reading through the Bible with commentary. We are in the book of Deuteronomy, a bunch of laws and regulations. And today is absolutely a bunch of laws and regulations. And it's the summary that was designed for teaching the future generations how we as a people of Israel are going to live differently than the people around us. So it's a combination of history and a combination of a summation of all the laws. And so, of course, the top 10, the 10 words, the 10 commandments were first, but then we've got lots of other basic directions. So chapter 17, you must not sacrifice to the Lord your God an ox or a sheep that has a defect, anything seriously wrong, for that is abhorrent to the Lord your God. If there is found among you in one of your towns that the Lord your God is giving you a man or a woman who does what is evil in the sight of the Lord your God, and transgresses his covenant by going to serve other gods and worshipping them, whether the sun or the moon or any of the host of heaven which I have forbidden, and if it is reported to you or you hear of it, and you make a thorough inquiry, and the charges prove true that such an abhorrent thing has occurred in Israel, then you shall bring out to your gates that man or that woman who has committed this crime, and you shall stone the man or woman to death. On the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses, the death sentence shall be executed. A person must not be put to death on the evidence of only 1 witness. The hands of the witnesses shall be first raised against the person to execute the death penalty, and afterward the hands of all the people, so that you shall purge the evil from your midst. So as we've heard before, the number 1 thing, love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul or mind. The first commandment, remember that I am the Lord your God and have no other gods before me. So once again, purge the evil. If somebody doesn't worship God, then they need to be out. They need to be gone. Verse 8. If a judicial decision is too difficult for you to make between one kind of bloodshed and another, one kind of legal right and another, or one kind of assault and another, any such matters of dispute in your towns, then you shall immediately go up to the place that the Lord your God will choose, where you shall consult with the Levitical priests and the judge who is in office in those days. They shall announce to you the decision in the case. Carry out exactly the decision that they announce to you from the place that the Lord will choose, diligently observing everything they instruct you. You must carry out fully the law that they interpret for you, or the ruling that they announce to you. Do not turn aside from the decision that they announce to you, either to the right or to the left. As for anyone who presumes to disobey the priest appointed to minister there to the Lord your God, or the judge, that person shall die. So you shall purge the evil from Israel. All the people will hear and be afraid, and will not act presumptuously again. So earlier we read that they've appointed judges, a bunch of judges all over Israel and all the different tribes to arbitrate. So, and in order to bring a case against somebody, you have to have more than 1 witness. One person cannot say, this person did this thing, and then that person end up getting the death penalty. There have to be 2 or more witnesses, especially in the cases involving a death penalty, that there must be multiple witnesses. But if for some reason there's either not enough witnesses, or there's a problem where you've got witnesses saying different things and it's a complicated case, then there is somewhere a judge that goes with the high priest that is there to decide. And later we will read the book of Judges, and we will hear about the judge judging Israel at the time. So the local judges would have handled most of the cases, but they can go to the high priest and to the judge of Israel and get a ruling from them. But whatever they say, that's what you have to abide by. Verse 14, when you have come into the land that the Lord your God is giving you, and you have taken possession of it and settled in it, and you say, I will set a king over me, like all the nations that are around me. You may indeed set over you a king whom the Lord your God will choose, which later on we will hear this is exactly what Israel decided. And the Lord was like, this isn't a great idea. You really shouldn't do it, but that's what they wanted. One of your own community you may set as king over you. You are not permitted to put a foreigner over you who is not of your own community. Even so, he must not acquire many horses for himself, or return the people to Egypt in order to acquire more horses, since the Lord has said to you, you must never return that way again. And he must not acquire many wives for himself, or else his heart will turn away. Also silver and gold he must not acquire in great quantity for himself. Which, of course, as we will read later, is exactly what happens with both David and Solomon, who had hundreds of wives, because people would make a treaty and send their daughter or some other woman as part of the, if it's a clannish thing that people still do too, still do nowadays. Why is it hard to break into terrorist cells? Because they're all married to each other. They marry each other's daughters, and now you can't attack me because your daughter, my daughter, is your wife. So it's a treaty thing to intermarry like that. And it is, in fact, what happened is that the wives pulled Solomon away. And people come and they bring gifts and money and things. Must not acquire in great quantity for himself. Verse 18, when he has taken the throne of his kingdom, he shall have a copy of this law written for him in the presence of the Levitical priests. It shall remain with him, and he shall read it in all the days of his life, so that he may learn to fear the Lord his God, diligently observing all the words of this law and these statutes, neither exalting himself above other members of the community, nor turning aside from the commandment either to the right or to the left, so that he and his descendants may reign long over the kingdom of Israel. Chapter 18. The Levitical priests, the whole tribe of Levi, shall have no allotment or inheritance within Israel. They may eat the sacrifices that are the Lord's portion, but they shall have no inheritance among the other members of the community. The Lord is their inheritance, as he promised them. This shall be the priest's due from the people, from those offering a sacrifice. Whether an ox or a sheep, they shall give to the priest the shoulder, the 2 jowls, and the stomach. The first fruits of your grain, your wine, and your oil, as well as the first of the fleece of your sheep, you shall give him. For the Lord your God has chosen Levi out of all your tribes to stand and to minister in the name of the Lord, him and his sons for all time. If a Levite leaves any of your towns from wherever he has been residing in Israel and comes to the place that the Lord will choose, and he may come whenever he wishes, then he may minister in the name of the Lord his God, like all his fellow Levites, to stand to minister there before the Lord. They shall have equal portions to eat, even though they have income from the sale of family possessions. Now, they're not sure what that means. Even if they have other income, they get an offering. And the Levitical priests, the tribe of Levi does not get land. They get to be the priests. And most of them are lower level priests. The ones that are descended from Aaron are the priests that can serve at the altar. Verse 9, when you come into the land that the Lord your God is giving you, you must not learn to imitate the abhorrent practices of those nations. No one shall be found among you who makes a son or daughter pass through fire, or who practices divination, or is a soothsayer, or an augur, or a sorcerer, or one who casts spells, or one who consults ghosts or spirits, or seeks oracles from the dead. For whoever does these things is abhorrent to the Lord. It is because of such abhorrent practices that the Lord your God is driving them out before you. You must remain completely loyal to the Lord your God. Although these nations that you are about to dispossess do give heed to soothsayers and diviners, as for you, the Lord your God does not permit you to do so. So very clear, no sacrificing your child, no burning your child up, and no any kind of witchcraft, sorcery, divination, nothing like that where you're trying to figure out what the Lord wants through divination, witchcraft, or sorcery. Well, but what about prophecy? Verse 15, the Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from among your own people. You shall heed such a prophet, or prophets, or such prophets. This is what you requested of the Lord your God at Horeb the day of the assembly, when you said, If I hear the voice of the Lord my God any more, or ever again see this great fire, I will die. Then the Lord replied to me, They are right in what they have said. I will raise up for them a prophet or prophets like you from among their own people. I will put my words in the mouth of the prophet, who shall speak to them everything that I command. Anyone who does not heed the words of that prophet shall speak in my name, I myself will hold accountable. But any prophet who speaks in the name of other gods, or who presumes to speak in my name, a word that I have not commanded the prophet to speak, that prophet shall die. You may say to yourself, How can we recognize a word that the Lord has not spoken? If a prophet speaks in the name of the Lord, but the thing does not take place or prove true, it is a word that the Lord has not spoken. The prophet has spoken it presumptuously. Do not be frightened by it. So there's going to be prophets. You can't use witchcraft, you can't use divination, but there will be prophets who come and tell you things, and you need to listen to them. I'm going to go ahead and do another chapter, chapter 19. When the Lord your God has cut off the nations whose land the Lord your God is giving you, and you have dispossessed them and settled in their towns and in their houses, you shall set apart 3 cities in the land that the Lord your God is giving you to possess. You shall calculate the distances and divide into 3 regions the land that the Lord your God gives you as a possession, so that any homicide can flee to one of them. Verse 4, Now this is the case of a homicide who might flee there and live. That is, someone who has killed another person unintentionally when the two had not been at enmity before. Suppose someone goes into the forest with another to cut wood, and when one of them swings the axe to cut down a tree, the head slips from the handle and strikes the other person, who then dies. The killer may flee to one of these cities and live. But if the distance is too great, the avenger of blood in hot anger might pursue and overtake and put the killer to death, although a death sentence was not deserved, since the two had not been at enmity before. Therefore I command you, you shall set apart 3 cities. So these are cities of refuge. If somebody accidentally kills somebody else, such as an axe head slipping, then their close relative cannot come and kill the person who killed that person in a revenging avenger of blood kind of way. That person can go to one of these refuge cities and live there without being killed. It keeps there from being this back and forth bloodbath and feud. Verse 8, If the Lord your God enlarges your territory as he swore to your ancestors, then he will give you all the land that he promised your ancestors to give you, provided you diligently observe this entire commandment that I command you today, by loving the Lord your God and walking always in his ways. Then you shall add 3 more cities to these 3, so that the blood of an innocent person may not be shed in the land that the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance, thereby bringing blood guilt upon you. Verse 11, But if someone at enmity with another lies in wait and attacks and takes the life of that person and flees into one of these cities, then the elders of the killer's city shall send to have the culprit taken from there and handed over to the avenger of blood to be put to death. Show no pity, you shall purge the guilt of the innocent blood from Israel, so that it may go well with you. So if somebody intentionally commits homicide, intentionally lays in wait and kills someone, and they run to one of these cities, they don't get to stay there. The avenger of blood gets to send the elders from his town to that town, and they have to give him up and send him back for him to be stoned to death and killed for his crime that he committed. Verse 14, You must not move your neighbor's boundary marker, set up by former generations, on the property that will be allotted to you in the land that the Lord your God is giving you to possess. So you have to stay fair and leave things where they should be. Verse 15, A single witness shall not suffice to convict a person of any crime or wrongdoing in connection with any offense that may be committed. Only on the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses shall a charge be sustained. If a malicious witness comes forward to accuse someone of wrongdoing, Then both parties to the dispute shall appear before the Lord, before the priests and the judges who are in office in those days, and the judges shall make a thorough inquiry. If the witness is a false witness, having testified falsely against another, then you shall do to the false witness just as the false witness had meant to do to the other. So you shall purge the evil from your midst. The rest shall hear and be afraid, and a crime such as this shall never again be committed among you. Show no pity, life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. Which sounds a little harsh, but actually was very liberal at the time, because it didn't allow for people to escalate. You hurt my sister, so I'm going to hurt you. Well, you hurt my brother, so I'm going to hurt you. And then this escalating thing. It has to be even. Somebody hurt somebody's eye, they get their eye hurt. If a false witness comes and wants to cause injury, then the injury they were trying to cause is what gets done to them. There has to be at least 2 or 3 witnesses, which is why when Jesus was being accused, lots of people were saying lots of things against him, but they weren't in agreement, and they had to have 2 witnesses that said the same thing in order for the penalty to stick. So the whole point of all of these laws is that God is saying you are going to live in a way that is righteous and just and fair, that takes into account all of these people, that there's not bribes, there's not richer people, or whether they're poor, whether they're rich, they all get a fair trial, they all get a fair opportunity, there have to be multiple witnesses. Just wonderful basic laws that we kind of take for granted, but were not necessarily a given thing before law codes such as these were established. And they said, okay, this is how we are going to live as a group of people. We're going to be fair and just to everybody, male, female, even the slaves have rights, and we're not going to just arbitrarily let people die, and we're not going to just arbitrarily kill people. We're going to go through a proper channels. So now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord look at you with favor and give you peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Go in peace. Serve the Lord. Thanks be to God. Have a great day. Like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you again tomorrow.